Yeah, that's something that actually I've been constantly thinking about lately because um, when I started, my big goal was to was to provide 100 meals, and then when we built the current kitchen we work from, was to provide 1,000, and then now we're going to 10,000, right, from the same kitchen. So I keep asking myself, okay, when will it be enough? Like, when do you go like, oh, this is nice? Because when you tell people you're moving from 3,000 to 10,000, they're like, why? 3,000 is still a big number, right? But our big goal now has always been 1,000,000 meals, which I said by 2025. But something that we've been trying to define is, are we the ones who are going to provide the 1,000,000 meals, or how do we create a way where other social entrepreneurs like you guys can think of school feeding as something that they can enter, they can probably make money from at the end, and how do you make 15 shillings per meal profitable for someone to enter in it as a business, and how do you create a new industry where now setting up kitchens and providing meals is something like Uber, driving a car. And also you get finance industries like banks now going to saying that they're going to finance setting up big kitchens and things like that. So right now we're in the process of defining what that looks like. We just brought on our board to help us think through that, the head of franchise of KFC in the UK, so that he's in charge of 950 branches. So he's really led a lot of scale up and a lot of thinking about the KFC franchise model. So we're thinking about that. So that success is 500 million kids in Africa eating, but now we're trying to decide, how do these 500 million eat? Yeah. Right now we're trying to get ahead of our selves early, like knowing, for example, with the KFC, the guy who's led scale of KFC, thinking about how do you build something that will now feed X amount of people in 5 years or something like that. But then also, one thing we've been thinking about is, we deliver hot meals. Is hot meals feasible everywhere? Can you do a different model where, especially in schools, because we have a lot of demand. If you talk to government, they're more interested in Turkana schools and places like that. So can you do a product-based delivery versus, hot meals, like do a cold. So what we do is like a hot chain delivery. Can you do a cold chain delivery where you have a hub where you store the things and then you deliver to schools and they cook for themselves? Or you have smaller kitchens that cook and then deliver to 5 schools or something like that.
And in terms of now, when you were thinking of setting up your kitchen, why did you think of, it's in Njiru?
Yeah.
So why did you think of Njiru? And then I think the schools also that you're working with are even within Njiru. Why there? Are you planning on moving into other areas within Kenya as a whole? Because of course Njiru is in a different county.
Yeah.
So why in particular that area?
So I grew up in Njiru, so that's why we started in Njiru. And the schools are in Njiru because of proximity to the kitchen. So because it's a delivery method, you can't be delivering very far. But now we're increasing schools in Njiru. So we're in 6 schools. We're moving to 12 schools. So that's 12 of the 18 total schools. So we'll be in, I don't know what that percentage is, but more than half percentage of the schools. And the other schools we're not going to be in is because they're far, so they're not accessible, or they don't have a road towards the school and things like that. But as I said, we're building a new kitchen in Nairobi in August, so we're moving to other places. Yeah.
There was a heavy question on tips around social entrepreneurship. Like, what would you give as your main, I guess, advice on how to run it and how to make it better and how to make a better impact?
Yeah, I think, okay, that's a very broad question, because unless there was a specific of how do you build a team or how do you fundraise. But I think that the most important thing, which I've been trying to tell people, because a lot of people come with broad questions and it's very difficult sometimes to pinpoint what exactly someone is trying to ask. But I think that for me, what has been most useful is that understanding that you don't know everything and you don't know nothing. So you're like somewhere in the middle of knowing everything and knowing nothing, and accepting that and asking as many questions as you can to people. So when you're building, you have, for example, questions on how do I build a team? You're having questions on how do I fundraise, or how do I manage my money? How do I make money? How do I, iterate my product and things like that? And we've done a lot of that. Like, we had a food business, Double Portion. We decided to close it down. So, and we closed it down when it was making a lot of money, so no one really understood why you closing a. Oh yeah, yeah, you're one of the customers. So making decisions like that, but that was very much from a perspective of, for example, I spoke to someone who'd run a company in Tanzania and another person who was running a company in India, and they were just like, you can't run two companies at the same time. If you run two, you're going to die, and it's impossible. And then I felt like I was dying. So closing it was the best decision, even for my ability to like concentrate on one thing. And since we did that, we've been able to scale from, I think when we closed it, we were at 2,000 meals a day. Now we're going to 10,000 in less than 6 months. So yeah, you're able to and focus on one thing. Yeah. So we have more to prove in terms of building good companies and showing that we can be. Because if I do well, then someone else will meet you and go like, oh, you know what? Actually, there's this other person I invested in who's Kenyan and she's a woman and she's doing well. I could also invest with you. But if I said, if I got this money and I bought myself a house or something here in Kilimani or whatever, and then I was just living a nice life, then yeah, that's not worth it. So, and then accountability is like, obviously you have procedures within your company, but a lot of our funders also have their own reporting mechanisms. So that's usually clear, at the beginning. The more you grow, building your team, hiring good people, making them stay, like how do you create a culture where good people want to stay and good people are attracted to work for you? And then also, how do you keep everyone energized? Because like our team is very energized by scale, but also there's also fundraising is always going to be a challenge, and then forming links with government, forming links with other people, trying to get people to support what you're doing. But it gets easier. Like the more persistent you are, the easier it is the more you do it, because then you understand. Like right now I'm in a phase of trying to know who's honest and who's not, because you'll meet people like in boardrooms and all these places, and so I look for like, is this person a good person? And if you're a good person, we'll go anywhere. Like even if it's hard, even if it's complicated, I know where your values are. So really looking at, it sounds lame to some people, but looking at what are people's values, like are they just nice people? Because someone else is going to say, give me your last audit. If you don't have an audit, yes, you can find an accountant to do an audit for you really fast. But then an accountant to do for you an audit for a bank account that doesn't exist. Because you've been channeling all the money that's coming to your company through your bank account. And also, because we're human, you'll get the money and then you'll be stuck somewhere and you'll be like, let me just swipe this card, araka, and get past it. But actually, is that the kind of company that you want to build? So you have to ask yourself those questions. I did a fundraiser in Australia when I was there, and I called my friends and I cooked for them bad food, and they paid me $20 each, and that's how we started. So it's been very funded by until 2016, very funded by people I knew. Yeah, and essentially, like everyone who knows me has known me from Kitambo. They know that's all I talk about. Like, you can't be my friend and hadn't given money to that. Like, yeah, it's just like, why are we friends, So the first thing is usually like, because people look for grants, but even your family doesn't know what you do. Even your friends don't know what you do. So there's someone who gave me advice then who was like, we were planning an event and I was trying to like advertise. They're like, you just get all the people you know in that room, then tell them, and then they'll tell other people. At the beginning, you need your whole community to know what you're doing, and then people vouch for you. Because then if right now I go to someone who I've known for 5 years and be like, hey, I need you to introduce me to this person, and they know this is what it's about, like all they've had me talk for 5 years. Yes, I talk about other things, but they know this is what I do, and I know I've been doing it for 5 years. Yeah. So I think in terms of giving up, like I was telling her, we were doing a game of what's the lowest you've ever had in your bank account. So how she said hers is 0, and mine was 112 shillings, right? Not negative, 112 shillings in the bank. And moments like those really make you question, because for us, we provide meals every day. So if you have 112, that's not a bag of maize, that's not something. Then we were providing meals to 25 kids, but still it was just like, then I can't, and it's an everyday thing, right? So it's So like you have a product where you sell it once a month or something like that. And so moments like those, and I mean, all the time you're questioning, like, should I be doing this? Should I be the one doing this? Because different situations and different situations will try to kind of make you question it. But I was listening to a podcast, and this is like, I don't know, this is just a coincidence that it was a podcast of Asha, and Asha was saying that life respects decisions. It respects you saying, this is a path I'm going to take. And then once you say that, life says, oh, okay, have you said this? Here's another challenge. Oh, okay, you still are deciding this thing. Here's another challenge. And it keeps throwing these things. But if you keep at it, then life goes like, oh, fine, you're serious. Here, have this. So life respecting decisions is just, I think that's what life has done for me particularly. And that's what I think that would be the advice, would be just, it's just a game of persistence. Like, it's not even a game of being the smartest or being like having the best product, because you'll change your product. Someone can have a good product and they give up early, but it's a game of like, will I stick it out?